the unfinished. So I'll kind of give you some broad categories. I am also working on a newsletter, and I have my staff here, Abby Ross and Christine Schohorn in the back. And if you would like to receive the newsletter, then you can get more information, but I'll give you a brief summary, and then I want to go into my own bills and some bills that affect you directly. So in terms of the good, Representative Berman noted about the pill mill, which I think is a good step forward. There's a lot of loopholes in it. I think today the Sun Sentinel has an editorial about the loopholes, but hopefully we'll close those. Another really good bill that we passed was actually sponsored by Representative Joe Abruzzo, and it's called the sexting bill. You know, the kids nowadays send pictures on their phones, and these young kids were getting charged with a felony because they were sending pictures of themselves. And now, because of Joe's bill, it'll be a misdemeanor. So that was something that needed to be corrected. The other really good thing that I think that happened is we did not pass an immigration bill. And I am really proud that we did not. I think that immigration is a national issue, and we need to be pressing our national and federal legislators to close the borders and figure out what to do, and I don't think we need 50 states with 50 laws. So I'm glad to see that Florida did not get involved in that. In terms of the bad, the budget, there's no question it really is harmful to so many Floridians. I'm particularly troubled by what we did to education. We cut $1.3 billion, over $500 per student just this year. So I voted against the budget, as did my colleagues, my Democratic colleagues, but it's a really tough budget. We had to cut $4 billion, and there's no question that it was a tough year. But I think, unfortunately, some of the cuts were made on behalf of working class people and not us, and it was a really troubling thing. In terms of what I call the ugly, I kind of characterize it as things that are going to be subject to court fights. There's a lot of court battles that are going to be starting. One of them is the elections law that you heard a little bit about. Particularly the League of Women Voters used to register people, and they had 10 days to put the people's names in the system. Now they will have 48 hours. And so the League has announced that they are not going to be registering voters, and that they are probably going to be challenging that law. That's just one part of that law. There's a lot of things that are troubling in it. We also passed an abortion bill, which requires an anti-abortion bill, I should say, which requires all women to have an ultrasound before they have an abortion, regardless of whether their doctor says it's medically necessary or not. I agree. So that also hopefully will be challenged. And the teacher merit pay bill that you heard a little bit about, we call it's the teacher merit pay bill without any merit pay in it. And the Florida Education Association has indicated that they are also going to be challenging that bill. In terms of the unfinished, I'm not even sure the total number. We put a lot of constitutional amendments that will be on the ballot in 2012. Some of them are, some of them I think are good ideas. Some of them I think are terrible ideas. One of the worst ones is something called TABOR. The state of Colorado has TABOR, and what it does is it caps the revenue that a state can get. Colorado is the only state in the union that had it, and it was so disastrous that they had to repeal it. It will be on your ballot in 2012, so pay attention, because if it goes into law, it will only hurt all of us. So I want you to be aware of that. There's also some other things that will be on the ballot, and we'll get into those later on, but so those are all things to be aware of. In terms of my own legislation, I was able to get 2 bills passed, and I'm really proud and excited about those. The first one says that if you have any driver education course, including for a learner's permit, or if you have to go to driver improvement for a ticket, that part of that class has to include a section about the dangers of texting while driving. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a ban on texting while driving, and that's the next step, and we will continue to fight for that. But at least now there is a portion of the driver ed that will be talking about that. The other bill that I got passed is for Lake Worth Drainage District, which is which controls pretty much 500 miles of canals. They control all the canals in this area. And the bill allows them to issue bonds. And the reason why we want that is they're going to look into doing a huge project which will benefit everyone, and that's that they'll build a reservoir, they'll store water, they'll use their canal, and they'll enter into interlocal agreements with the cities, and they'll sell that water to the cities, so that it's a way to start for us to be prepared when our water runs short. So it's an excellent bill. We're not sure if the governor's going to sign it or not. There's been some discussion about that, but we're very hopeful. There's two bills that particularly affect all of you as residents in this area. One bill that was pretty troubling is the property and casualty bill. It's Senate Bill 408. There's a lot of provisions in it that will affect anyone who has property insurance. One of them is windstorm damage claims are now reduced from 5 years to 3 years. So if we have a hurricane, you have to report your damage and get in full in 3 years or you won't get paid. Another provision of that bill is insurers are allowed to raise rates 15% without any request or anything based on the fact that they have to pay for reinsurance. So this bill is going to cause our property insurance rates to rise. If you'd like more information about it, I'll be happy to provide you with the information. And the last bill I want to talk about is the Condominium Cooperative and Homeowners Association bill. Pretty much, I'm sure most of you know, last year was a big revamp of that law. So this year was pretty much just a cleanup of that law. There's not too many things that'll be too egregious or that will hurt anyone. In fact, they should help most of you. For instance, there's a provision that if a unit owner is more than 90 days delinquent, their voting rights are suspended. So there's a lot of different provisions like that, and it's just pretty much a cleanup bill. If you have any specific questions, you can come see me. I am really proud and honored to represent all of you. My district is Boynton Beach, between Federal Highway and Jog Road, Delray, mostly between Boynton and between Jog and Federal, and a little bit of northern Boca Raton. So my office is right in downtown Delray, and we're here to help you and assist in any way we can, and just let us know what you need. Thank you.